Morning, and today what we're going to do is we're going to check out the spring range. So let's get the EV setting here. You see we've got 100% battery to start off, 132 miles range. We're just running with a tiny little bit of warmth on at the moment because outside 6 degrees. So yeah, we're going to do a spring range test, and you'll notice it's gone from 132 miles range to 136 with the climate off. Which, yeah, it's a lovely day, as you can see outside, nice and bright. So yeah, let's hit the road. Handbrake off, lovely noise. So yeah, 7:35 in the morning, and a nice sunny morning it is. Temperature forecast today to get up to 19 degrees. And what I want to show you in this video is just how capable the Ioniq is in spring. You'll forever find the videos, and indeed I've done them myself, relating to winter range. Well, I thought to myself, let's have a spring range test, because if you're lucky enough to live in the UK or any of the countries to the south of the UK, this is probably more the common temperature range that you're going to be operating in rather than winter. So I think it's important to recognise what the range actually is. The other thing I thought I'd do is just talk about the new Ioniq that's coming. It seems to be a bit of a Marmite car. I think, including me, we were hoping for a lot more really out of good old Hyundai and their next sort of generation Ioniq. Although it's a bit more of a facelift, depending on your perspective, as to whether you consider it a lift or not. I quite like the new grille. Although I am really mystified as to what the two flaps either side of the Hyundai badge are. And yes, they are flaps. They're not just indentations. They actually do slide upwards, it would appear, from a video that I've seen from Korea. So that's a bit of a strange one. The new battery pack, I think we all would welcome a little bit more range. The Ioniq Electric at the moment, depending on what scale you use, realistically they're saying its range is 120 miles. I constantly defeat that almost every day by travelling 120 miles on my commute. I would say more realistically the range this time of year is actually 130, 132. The GOM, guessometer, for those of you who are not familiar with that term, in the Ioniq is actually incredibly accurate. I see lots of posts from I-Pace owners saying they start off with 220, 260 miles range, but then they only get 180. You know what? You don't have that problem with the Ioniq. It's pretty much consistent in its measurements, actually. And equally, I've seen that said also about the Teslas, where they'll just basically, instead of being a guessometer based on your current driving, it's actually based on their standard miles per kilowatt hour that gives you the range. So if you drive it hard, you're going to get less. If you drive it gently, you might get a bit more. But it is based purely on that calculation in the Tesla, which that seems a little bit unsophisticated, really. But that's what I'm told, and what Bjorn Nyland also says. Tesla Bjorn. If you haven't watched his videos and if you're interested in Tesla, definitely give those a look. They're amazing. So yeah, the new Ioniq, when that comes out, it's got a slightly different interior cabin, and I think that is, I'd say it's slightly better, although I'm a little bit worried about, or worried, that's too strong a word, but a little bit puzzled again by a little bit of an interior design element. The cowling over the speedometer, there seems to be like a slot for daylight to come through. I like the addition of the mood lighting that's there, although I've only seen it in blue and I think it will only do blue. I haven't seen anywhere that it's reported that it will actually do more than that. But if you like blue, like I do, yeah, should be good. In terms of battery charging, this is another area which has to be discussed with the new Ioniq as well. It would seem that actually the charging is now limited to around about 38-39 kilowatt hour. If you look at the voltage and ampage figures, science is a little bit beyond me, I'm afraid. But if you look at those figures, people with more knowledge and expertise than I are clearly saying the maximum that the Ioniq is going to charge at is going to be around about 39 kilowatts per hour. What I find interesting about that is that there's lots of owners of the current Ioniq getting on board and saying, well, hold on, everybody else's charging speed is getting quicker, and you know what, I would agree. And why would you dumb it down when you're adding extra capacity to the Ioniq? It seems ridiculous, but this is exactly the same as the Kona with the 38-39 kilowatt battery pack. It seems to have the same battery charging system in place as the Kona, and when you look at the videos of EV Puzzle, he's done a really good video comparing the charging rates of the Kona 39 kilowatt and the 64 kilowatt, and they charge in exactly the same time, even though obviously there's the difference of a whole 25 kilowatt in the batteries. So for my money, Hyundai, you've missed an opportunity here. It would have been great to try and see whether you could squeeze a 64 kilowatt battery in. I know that meant you would have had to drop the ground clearance, and that might have been difficult because this is already a very low car, but you've managed to do it on the Kia Soul. So yeah, a bit disappointing. Missed opportunity, I think, is what I would say in terms of the next Ioniq. Okay, so we're now driving along on the M18 and heading south to the Midlands, and we'll catch up in a bit. Okay, so we just left the M18. I thought should just set some parameters for this. I guess for some people it's a road trip. For me, it's my daily commute. So the journey in total is 120 miles. As you saw with the aircon off, we had 136, 132 with it on. At the moment the temperature has increased, it's gone up to 10 degrees, so it's warming up nicely, quite quickly, because we're actually only, about 15 minutes into the journey in fact. We're driving at the moment, the temperature is set to 19 degrees, but I must admit I do have the climate off, I do have air conditioning off, heat off, because it's warming up outside. I'm quite comfy sat here. There's a little bit of ventilation going on in terms of I've got the fan set to its lowest setting. It's a very dry day, there's no moisture in the air, so I don't need the automatic demist on the windscreen. In fact, I prefer to drive with that off whenever I can anyway, because it does seem to power up sometimes unnecessarily, and that tends to kill the battery range in winter in particular. There's a video earlier that I've done, where I'll show you how to take that off, and no doubt I'll repeat that as we get back into autumn, which I hope is a very, very long time away. As I'm speaking to you today, it is actually the 13th of May 2019. We're in a 2018 specification Premium SE Hyundai Ioniq. We've reset the trip meters and also the miles per kilowatt hour gauge. Sorry for my more metric friends out there working in kilometres. You can see I'm still behind the lorry that I was earlier. This, with traffic how it is, I just like to trundle along nice and slowly. I've got no aerodynamic benefit really from travelling with this lorry in front. As you can see, I'm maintaining a good safe distance as well. It's a low loader, so the aerodynamic benefit is going to be absolutely rubbish. In fact, it might actually be harming the aerodynamics. So before anybody sort of sends any messages about tailgating and everything like that, you know what, I don't mind overtaking stuff, but the purpose of this road trip is to show you just how far the Ioniq can go, what it's capable of. So at the moment we're returning 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Let's put that in a bit of perspective. Everybody says the Ioniq, and I agree, with the exception probably of the Tesla Model 3, which I'm looking forward to testing that in the future. They say the Ioniq is the most efficient EV out there, and I would absolutely agree. 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. People in Leafs, I'm seeing reporting that they're overjoyed that they're now getting 4 miles per kilowatt hour over fairly long journeys, which is great. Well done for you guys. Tesla Model S, Model X, you're looking at 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour, it would seem, on average, from what I'm seeing on social media. Jag I-Paces 2.1, 2.4, 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So the Ioniq definitely is one of the more efficient, if not the most efficient, giving it a very good close run for its money in terms of how many miles it can get per kilowatt hour of energy. Is certainly the Kona, and it would seem also the e-Niro that's just come out as well. Yet to test those myself, but considering they've got the weight of a heavier, bigger battery pack at 64 kilowatts, that's pretty amazing that they're as efficient as they are actually. And from having seen the Kona next to a Nissan Leaf, I would actually say, you know what, there's not much between them in terms of size, but the package, the battery management just seems better in the Kona. This isn't a Nissan Leaf bashing session by any means. It's just my personal observation. Okay, so traffic this morning, it is a Monday morning, so we can expect absolutely anything. And indeed last week I got stuck in 3 motorway closures, but last week it was torrential rain, and yeah, I don't think we're going to see that today, which is great news. So yeah, but it's a Monday morning. As I said, we had sort of 12 miles spare capacity with the climate on. I'm running with the climate on, so we had 16 miles really spare capacity. Sorry, I'm running with the climate off, I should say. And let's just get past this lorry. We are running in Inco mode, but you've still got a nice chunk of acceleration there, as you see. We'll move that into lane 2 here because we're going to continue down the M18 rather than go down the M180. So yeah, we climbed it off. We had 16 miles of spare capacity in our range. At this precise moment, we're up to 19 miles. So we've gained a bit of range by driving nice and economically. And let's see how that pans out as we go further down. I do have an opportunity to stop. Occasionally I will stop at a hotel about halfway down Nottingham Derby area. There's 1 or 2 sites that I use just off the motorway there. They're run by Polar, which there's CCS network on electricity chargers on the motorway services, so unreliable. I just don't bother with those. So the Polar network is the one for me. I pay the subscription, which is £7.85 a month currently, and then I pay 10.2 pence, including VAT, for the electricity I get from those charging stations. And one real fringe benefit of using the Polar chargers is that they're at hotels and motorway services. Sorry guys, you've really got to up your game in terms of public bathrooms, particularly around the Nottingham area. Birch Services, if any of you are familiar with that, you really want some disinfectant as you come out of that place. So, you know, the hotels, Novotel, and also the Holiday Inn in that area, both got Polar chargers, and both nice friendly staff and very clean hotels, very clean restrooms as well. So definitely worth going to those. Okay, so we'll continue and see how this carries on. So this is what I call the range drop-in hill. Still on the M18 heading towards the M1. Just got over the A1, and basically you've got a sustained hill, as you can see in front. The lorry is moving out to overtake a slower vehicle, and yeah, we started up this hill at 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour. We're going nice and steady. I've got the cruise control set actually to 59 miles per hour indicated, showing I'm doing 94 kilometers per hour for our metric friends out there. And yeah, I got to this point, 20 miles spare capacity, as we were saying earlier. That's now shrinking. That's gone down to 19. That little alarm, by the way, is me just having my hands off the steering wheel for a bit too long. We've got LCAS enabled. LCAS is lane keeping assist, for those of you who don't know. That's enabled, so basically it's steering us, which I tend to use this system a lot on the motorway. So basically I just hold the steering wheel and the car drives itself. It's very, very, very stress free. We've got cruise control set to 59 mile an hour at the moment, although we're doing 55. The cruise control in the Ioniq is a radar based system, so we've got the lorry in front, we've got a distance that's been maintained by the car. If the lorry slows down, we slow down. If it comes to a stop, we come to a stop. If the lorry speeds up, we speed up to the set speed that we've put on, which is 59 miles per hour. So yeah, the hill keeps going. It doesn't feel like a really steep hill when you're driving a conventional car up here. It doesn't feel like a steep hill in an electric car either. You don't really notice any sort of extra urge to floor the accelerator to get up here. But you do see it in terms of your range and how that range disappears. We're going a bit too slow at the moment with this lorry, so we're just going to move into lane 2 and get past this, and then we'll resume our cruising speed of around about 60 miles per hour. There we go. Back into lane 1. What I tend to do, rather than suddenly slowing down to 60 mile an hour, is I'll hit the resume button once I'm up to the higher speed, and then I will very slowly and gradually just knock the speed down to where I want to cruise at. So doing that periodically. For those of you who don't know, with the Ioniq, with the regenerative braking, which we've got set to level 3 by the way at the moment, you don't get the brake lights come on when you're slowing gradually. So if you look at the charge power gauge on the left hand side, if you illuminate 2 of those bars through your regen or more, then your brake lights come on. If you press the brake pedal, your brake lights come on. But if you just drop by 1 of those bars, then your brake lights don't come on, and a vehicle behind you all of a sudden can be in your rear luggage compartment if you're not careful. So I like to sort of do this nice and gradually, and there we are, we're back down to 60 mile an hour. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. We actually only lost 0.1 of a mile per kilowatt hour there, going up that hill. That's unusual. I've seen in the rain and winter time, I've seen losses there of gosh, half a mile even per kilowatt hour. And the more you cane it uphill, you might ask, well, what's better? Is it better to cane it up the hill and get it over with? No, it's not. Slow and steady wins the race with the Ioniq, I have to say. And in fact, not actually slow, steady wins the race with the Ioniq. It's a fantastic vehicle, and you just need to enjoy the ride. So yeah, LCAS, if I take my hands off the steering wheel now, it'll bug every 10 seconds or so. I do find it a little bit annoying that it bugs. I wish it just had a visual alert to start off with, but no, there you go, you get a visual alert and you get that beep. But it's very, very good. In fact, in strong crosswinds, it steers the vehicle better than probably most humans. It keeps it very, very stable. So yeah, it's a good tool. Okay, so we're now, as I say, got a comfort margin. Actually, we've got a comfort margin of 18 miles again. So still more than the 16 we started off with. The climate is off, although I'm going to put it back on again now because it's a little chilly. And I don't want the battery getting cold. The climate in the Ioniq feeds through to the battery compartment. There's vents underneath the rear seat. So if you're nice and warm in the cabin of your car, then the battery's nice and warm. If you're cold in the cabin of your car, and you don't want the battery too hot in summer, by the way, folks, either, then basically you're in a good position for actually keeping the battery nice and well managed at an even temperature. So again, we're on the cruise control. We're just slowing down now because we've closed range a little bit with that lorry through the lane swap. So that's backed us off nicely. The LCAS is pretty good as well, by the way, I should say. If you get a vehicle suddenly come across you, it will slow you down in decent time. There is a real urge to take over, and yeah, sometimes you have to if it's a last minute idiot, but majority of the times it is pretty good. So yeah, keeping the battery warm, even in these spring days where it's 12 degrees outside now. The ideal operating temperature for your battery is reported to be 16 degrees Celsius. I find in winter keeping the cabin at 21 degrees is nice and comfortable for me, and it seems to be nice and comfortable for the battery. It seems to get the most out of it. I've now put the aircon and heat on, and I'm set to 20 degrees Celsius to see just how basically we can get me a little bit warmer, and two, if that assists the battery a little bit. We're already back to 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour, so the hill didn't have too much deficit for us, and yeah, catch you in a bit later. So driving on the M1 now, 17 mile in my comfort zone. Cruise control is off. Travis getting just a little bit freer, and basically taking advantage of the downhill sections and letting the car roll nicely down the hills. And on the the uphill sections I'm just doing what I'm doing just there, which is just tucking in and just letting other people past. Not driving slowly. Our average speed actually is 59 mile an hour, which, considering a little bit of traffic that we've come across, that's I think quite unrespectable. I'm not the sort of driver that will bomb around at 70 mile an hour everywhere. That's just not me. I just like to get to work nice and relaxed. One of the reasons for recording at this point is that the M1 has got speed cameras activated, so if you are going reportedly over 72 miles per hour, you will get a fine. So it doesn't have to be the smart motorway 60 mile an hour sign, and as you can see by this sign here, it's saying speed cameras, national speed limit, and indeed, that would be, if you're going over 70, that would be a fine for you, providing you're triggering, probably like that Skoda just has actually, going down the outside lane. Each to their own. Okay, so traffic's freeing up nicely now. Downhill section, no need to be out in lane 2. Everything is off the pedals at the moment. We're doing 64 mile an hour. And I've turned the regen down to 0 actually, so we're just freewheel down here. I don't think the regen makes any difference other than to how much you slow down when you take your foot off the pedal. It doesn't alter your economy. People will say about it actually promoting your range. I guess if you're going to coast everywhere for a real long period of time, do you know what? Yeah, it will if you've got a lot of downhills, but I actually don't find it makes a huge amount of difference at all. I find in traffic, this sort of distance a vehicle in front, I like to have the regen on at least 2 or even 3, and I'm just favouring the accelerator pedal. Just keep a steady momentum. So we're now up to 4.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Slowly getting that gap of comfort back. We're now at 19 miles comfort zone. I don't think we'll actually stop on the way down other than for a personal comfort break. Temperature now is 13 degrees Celsius, so we're going to start to benefit from the increased temperatures. Around about now, I've noticed this is where I start to get into the 5.1 miles per kilowatt hour fairly easily on the motorways. So in terms of range, I think the new Ioniq with its 38, 39 kilowatt hour battery, basically I think in summer that's going to hit 200 miles, which is pretty impressive really, considering you've got an 85, 90 kilowatt hour battery in the I-Pace and also the Cummins EQC and the Audi e-tron as well, and they're rated above 200 miles, but not by much. So I think to extract that amount of miles per kilowatt is pretty impressive actually. So again, this is where there's a real benefit in having an efficient electric vehicle, not just an electric vehicle with a big battery. Everybody focuses on range. Efficiency is part of the equation. You can have a smaller battery in a very efficient car, carry less weight, and yeah, you can go just as far, which I think the new Ioniq is really going to prove that. As I say, the current Ioniq, which we have here today, it's indicated on different scales between 120. I've even seen ludicrously 179 miles. I think was the top one that I saw. That was the old, I think it's a WELTP standard. Feel free to correct me if I've got that wrong, but that would be absolute ideal conditions. I think just driving sensibly this sort of weather this week, as it's going to be a bit warmer, we're going to be up to 19 degrees. I'm hopeful of seeing 140, 147 miles range. This current state of battery 69%, so we've not used a third of the battery as yet, and current miles travelled 48. So you can pretty much see there I'm going to get 50 miles out of 1/3 of the battery. So actually 150 is quite possible, maybe today, but our journey's only 120, so that's not going to be the purpose of the test today. A great feature of the Ioniq is there is a limit setting. It's very easily accessed on the steering wheel. We're just going to move out of the way of the tail end of this cube. Yeah, very, very easily accessed. So 50 mile an hour limit was put in place there, so we were able to slow down nicely. You're not going to go over it. You can brake through it. We're travelling at 50 mile an hour now. You floor the accelerator and away you go, and then you get this chime. Okay, to remind you you're over the limit. If you off the accelerator, it resumes back down. Okay. So, continuing on the journey. So, just entering the services at Birch. Yeah, based on my earlier comments, I guess you could say I'm slumming it, but you know what? These places fulfill a purpose, and that's a purpose I'm very grateful for. So, yeah, pull up here. So just have a recap. So now we're on 5 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's fantastic. We've used 56%. Sorry, no, we've used 44% of our battery. We've got 56% left, and we have travelled 67 miles. So yeah, heading towards the 150 mile actual true range of the vehicle. So yeah, quick comfort break and back on the road. So we're just approaching the 50% marker on the energy information on the battery. We're just slowing down to 50 mile an hour speed limit. So again, mode button on the steering wheel twice to get into limit, down for set on the paddle underneath that, and speed limit now set to 50, although we're going down to 40 as well, so traffic up ahead. So yeah, motivation for me here is to demonstrate to you very clearly what the battery range really. It's like we've got 66 on the GOM. But we're just entering this queue of traffic, so 66 miles of range left on the GOM. But we've not hit 50% yet. And we have already travelled, let's see, we have already travelled 75 miles. So 150 miles in reality is absolutely the right sort of range that you can get in spring, in an early morning start where you've got like a 6 degrees to start off with, and it's warmed up now to 13 degrees. Actually, it's just popped up to 15 degrees as we're talking. Must be the heat reflecting off the tarmac. Now we're going a bit slower. So yeah. Now we're stuck in traffic, of course. It's gonna take a while to get down to that 50% because we're just trundling along, not using any battery. Currently we're 5.1 miles per kilowatt hour, so as predicted, yeah, 5 to 5.2 I was saying, so we're dead on the money as far as that goes. And yeah, let's keep talking while we wait for it to get down to the 50% mark, shall we? So what EVs are you guys looking forward to most, and what's on your shopping list? I think value for money is something that's getting rather overlooked in terms of EVs at this moment. I don't know where this van's off because Slipbro comes to an end in a moment. There you go. Yeah, value for money is very much getting overlooked, and indeed I think the Ioniq is very good value for money. In terms of equipment, yeah, what else could you wish for actually in an Ioniq? I've got leather seats, they're heated, they're cooled, I've got climate control, you've got a heat pump, battery management system works off the climate control heat pump as well, and you've got cruise control, which is radar adaptive, you've got a speed limiter, you've got lane keep assist, which is a slightly less intelligent, but only slightly less intelligent version really of autopilot in terms of when you're on a motorway. So that keeps you going definitely in a straight line around the bends, and you've got to have your hand on the steering wheel in a Tesla every 15-30 seconds or so. Well, in an Ioniq it's every 10 to 15 seconds, so arguably some people might think that's a little bit better. In terms of range for the battery, efficiency, yeah, you're getting 5 miles per kilowatt hour. But I think it's quite interesting to see what's coming out. There's a video just popped out of the Google assistant for vehicles that's coming out in the Polestar. Now this is not something you're going to get on a phone or a tablet. This is built into the car, and it doesn't matter whether you actually have this Google automotive assistant actually on your phone or not, or indeed if you're on an iPhone, it works with the car and not actually with your smartphone as such. No doubt there will be some linkage, but you don't need it, it's not necessary. Now that on the Polestar, that was shown at the Google conference over in, I think it's California, and I was watching a video for that just last night, and it looks very intuitive. It looks as if it will be very capable indeed for route planning and indeed car management, planning for chargers, etc. So yeah, it looks really good. So that looks good for the Polestar as a bit of a USP. The other thing I noticed though as well with that was that there's a display on the Google Automotive Assistant which actually shows how many kilowatts hours were used per 100 miles, and it actually showed it was using it was 23 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, which means efficiency wise the Polestar is looking at getting over in California there, which no doubt was quite sunny, but we don't know how the car was driven beforehand. It looks like it's getting 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Now that efficiency on that vehicle, that means that is going to go very far, because it's got a very decent battery in it. Not 100% sure of the battery size on it, but they certainly were quoting 400 kilometers, say 240 miles of range. It looks well capable of that, and of course it's got quick charging speeds as well, so that could be next on my shopping list after the Ioniq. Although Tesla Model 3 is equally looking like that is the case. Still not down to that 50% mark, folks. So average speed 54 miles per hour. Obviously that's going down at the moment whilst we're in this bit of traffic. Got 63 miles range on the GOM, but actually got 43 miles to go, so we've got a 20-mile safety cushion. Not charged up on the way down, haven't needed that. And there we go. Right, so we have done 50% of the battery, and we have travelled 77 miles. So quick maths, that's 154 miles range in total from 100% of the battery, which, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I don't think you'll find Leafs going an awful lot more than that, even though they've got 40 kilowatt battery compared to the 28 in the Ioniq. So yeah, there's the efficiency you get in spring. Okay, right, seems to be moving again now. Sorry for that bit of traffic. Obviously out of my control. And off we go. So we're on the final leg of the journey now. We're 27 miles away from our destination, just entering Warwickshire, yep, Shakespeare's County. And we're doing just 65 mile an hour now, just behind this lorry, catching that up. And yeah, 5.1 miles per kilowatt hour. We've used 63% of the battery so far, so we'll be coming to the 1/3 left milestone, 2/3 used shortly. And yeah, we've gone 94 mile on less than 2/3 of the battery, so yeah, the 150 miles range is very feasible. Let's just have a look at the GOM. The GOM's now telling me got 48 miles range left, and 26 to go, so we've got 22 miles range. Let's get the hand back on the steering wheel again, shall we? Yeah, 22 miles range spare is what it's saying. So said earlier, weather conditions have been pretty much ideal. Wind wise, which wind can make a lot of difference to EVs, we've got a slight headwind, interestingly. It's varied between 5 and 8 miles an hour as we've come down. It's 5 miles an hour currently, and I have to say the roads have been pretty quiet for a Monday. Traffic's been pretty good, apart from that queue when we hit the 50% mark. So yeah, it's been a very, very good journey for So what we're going to do is I'm going to obviously finish this bit of video off, but also I'm going to do a video this afternoon when I come back. Now the temperature this afternoon, sorry about that interruption, temperature this afternoon is going to be around about 18 degrees. The top temperature is going to be about 19, so the battery is going to be nice and warm on the charger. We're planning on leaving probably around about 5:30. It's pretty standard time for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set the departure time for 5:30, but I'm also going to set the climate for 19 degrees because that's a nice cool temperature there. So that'll be nice to get into the car in. Click OK on that, so that's all set up whilst we're driving there. So important thing to remember to do when you're setting your timers, particularly if you're like me and you charge on an economy tariff on the night time. I'm going to be charging up at work on a 7 kilowatt charger, so I need to make sure I select charge now, otherwise it will not take any electricity until I get to sort of midnight, and then I'll be stuffed with 20 odd miles range. Beautiful day, as you can see. Lovely bit of sunshine. Miles to go, 45 range, so yeah, should get there with 22 spare. So yeah, a nice easy journey. And remember, we started off with 136 miles with the climate off. We've had a mix of climate off, climate on, because I wanted to keep the battery warm at one point. We're getting a little cool. Climate is off at the moment. Well, if you take that 136 and you add the 22 miles we should have spare when we stop, you get 158 miles range. So 150 is comfortable at this time of year. Winter I've pushed it to 150, but certainly 150 is comfortable in springtime. Starting off with a temperature of 6 degrees. It's now settled down to 14 degrees Celsius. Let's see what we can get on the way home tonight. Average speed 55 miles an hour. We've been going an hour and 50 minutes. That's 1 hour 50 minutes. So yeah, it's been a good journey. Highly unusual for a Monday, but let's hope the journey back tonight is equally as good. Welcome back again. We're just now on the outskirts of Coventry, about to pull off the M42. Outside temperature 15 degrees. Hello spring, almost summer, lovely. Birmingham Airport is on our right hand side. I don't know if you can make that out. There's an airplane just taking off in the distance there. So how are we doing? We've got 9 miles to go. We've got 31 on the gom. So yeah, that 22. Somebody driving down the hard shoulder. Wonderful. It's only a lane sometimes. It wasn't then. Anyway, deep joy, idiots on the road. So yeah, we're now got, let's say, 9 miles to go, 31 miles range, and basically we've done that 120 mile journey. my maths were out a little bit earlier, so it's going to be 142 actually miles that we're going to see as a total range. So when we charge up later on, let's see whether we get 142 on the gong or not. Should be good. That'll be the highest I've seen this year. I've seen 140 a couple of days, but 142 would be nice to see again. The most I saw when I got this car back in August, tail end of August last year, was 147, and that's when it was brand new. Well, here we are, some 34,000 miles later, remarkably, in May, so 9 months, 34,000 miles, slightly over my lease agreement. Oh well, never mind. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better days for driving we've had this year. Right then, final summary then. So we're going to arrive with around about 22 miles spare. We've managed 5.2 miles per kilowatt hour as predicted, and average speed 56 miles an hour. Let's say for a Monday morning, that's not bad. It's been 35 miles an hour some days last week with the torrential rain. It's been a beautiful sunny day today. Temperature starting off with 6 degrees Celsius. It's 15 degrees Celsius now, and we're going to get there, looks like, with about between 15 and 17% of battery. So yeah, very comfortable journey. Car's been, as ever, faultless. Touch wood while I say that. But it just goes to show that you can use this for your daily commute in spring without stopping, which is typical weather conditions for most of us for most of the year, without any problems at all. Even if your commute, like mine, is actually 120 miles. As I said earlier, we will do part 2 on the way back this evening. We're going to see what we can extract then. We're going to hope that it's going to be a bit warmer. Should be about 18-19 degrees at that point, and let's see whether we can do any better on the journey back. Generally tend to, because you're starting off warmer, the battery prefers that rather than starting off colder, and then it gets colder as the journey goes on, but you've got residual heat in the battery at that point, which you know, as you get to the end of your journey, basically it's not really a problem to get home and get a good charge then overnight from your wall box at home. Okay, so thanks very much for joining me on this journey. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and yeah, share the video as well. I know it's been a bit of a long one. Thank you for bearing with me, and see you in part 2.